Hi everyone, I'm Empirical Rick, and if you've ever used the argument that flat water proves a flat earth, that water doesn't curve, then please watch this and tell me what you think. The flat water argument is one I hear a lot. D. Marble recently said it was one of his favourite arguments for a flat earth. Dell from Beyond the Imaginary Curve, and more recently Phuket Word used it as evidence of a flat earth, saying in fact that if the earth is a globe, give evidence of curving water. Now this is a very crudely drawn diagram. I've done this in a hurry, but it's sort of how I imagine flat earthers would see the earth in profile. So here's the water line, here's the water line, and here you have some land masses. So that's roughly, I guess, in profile how they would imagine that the earth would be. And I guess whatever their view is, infinite plains and ice wall contained at the edges. It seems to make sense, except there is a very simple observation which proves that that is not the case. For the sake of simplicity, I'm avoiding the whole argument or discussion of what's the difference between flat and level. Now there's 2 points. The main point is the second one. I just want to show you something else first. See this circle here that I've drawn? It has a radius of 12.5 centimetres, slightly less in fact than 12.5 centimetres. And there it is, half a circle. Now when I drew this, I immediately drew another one, but only a small section of it. Does that not look like a straight line to you? It does, doesn't it? What is that? It's about 1 centimetre and something long. And yet when you look at it here, there's a curve, there's a small section, and it looks straight. That's in a circle with a radius of only 12.5 centimetres. What a difference we see though. There you see a curve, and here it looks like a straight line. 12.5 centimetre circle. Now think about this. The earth has a radius, so from the centre to the edge, of 6,371 kilometres. Do you know what that is in centimetres? It's 637,100,000 centimetres. What does that tell you? It tells you that if you had a sphere, a globe, with a radius that size, then the little bit of it that we can see will appear straight in the same way that a little part of this circle here appears straight. What we actually see when we stand on the beach and look out to sea is tiny, absolutely tiny. And as a result, it will appear straight. So if we were on a globe, the oceans will look straight, the horizon will look straight, they will look flat. But that's not the main point. Phuket Word is saying that the fact that they appear flat is proof of something, and we have to give proof of curved water. But as I've sort of demonstrated there, well, the fact that they appear flat doesn't mean that they are. Are you sure they're flat? Well, do you know what? They can't be. Just have a quick look at this. Imagine that this line here is a beach on the coast, and here is another beach. Now obviously that's very close. Imagine that they're far apart. Here's one water line and here's another. This one is when the tide is high, and this one is when the tide is low. Now you'll have seen when you've gone to the beach how far out the water level can, how far out the water can go, how far out the tide can go, and this makes a huge difference in terms of the height of the water line. Here's the problem that we have that relates to the discussion of flat water. When the tide is high here, somewhere else in the world, the tide is low. And then when that tide rises, this tide here falls down to this point. Now what happens to all this water in between? The tide, twice a day we have tides. The tide will be high here, and in another part of the world it will be low. Now you draw a straight line between there, and water is sloping. But that doesn't happen. But then it swaps over. This high tide comes down, this one rises. So now, is it going to be sloping that way? Did it have a, hang on a second, did it slope like this and then swap over and then swap back? Or is the water bending and curving? Is there a step in it? If the earth is flat and tides are rising in one place, falling in another, the water cannot be flat. Yes, it appears flat, but it cannot be flat.